Hello, little gigglers. Welcome back to Simple Stories, Smart Kids, where flowers talk, toads sing opera, and tiny girls ride on dragonflies. Today's tale is about a girl who's smaller than a spoon, but braver than a superhero. Hold on to your tulips, because it's time for Thumbelina. Once upon a time, in a land where the sun shone a little brighter and the flowers giggled when the wind tickled them, there lived a tiny girl named Thumbelina. Now, when I say tiny, I mean she was so small that if you blinked, you might just miss her. Thumbelina was no taller than a thumb, hence the name. She had hair like spun gold and eyes that sparkled like the morning dew. But don't let her size fool you. This little lady had a heart as big as a giant's. Thumbelina lived in a cozy little house made from a walnut shell, which was just the right size for her. Her bed was a petal from a flower, her table was a leaf, and her chair? Well, that was a thimble, of course. She had everything she needed, and she was quite content. But, as they say, the world is full of surprises, and Thumbelina was about to discover just how surprising it could be. One sunny morning, while Thumbelina was brushing her hair in front of a dewdrop mirror, she heard a strange noise outside her home. It was a loud croaking sound, almost like a very grumpy frog had just stubbed its toe. Curious as ever, Thumbelina decided to investigate. She peeked out of her walnut shell and gasped. There, hopping around like it owned the place, was a rather large frog. And when I say large, I mean this frog was so big that it could have been the reigning champion of the Frog Olympics. "Good day, little girl," croaked the frog, puffing up his cheeks like a balloon. "I'm here to take you away." "Take me away?" Thumbelina exclaimed, her tiny hands on her hips. "What do you mean, take me away? I'm quite happy right here, thank you very much." But the frog wasn't listening. He had his eyes set on a grand plan. "You see, my dear, I need a lovely bride for my son, Prince Frog. He's a bit of a recluse, you know, and I thought you'd be perfect. Just imagine it, royalty. You would live in a grand lily-pad palace, and the pond would be your kingdom." Thumbelina rolled her eyes. "A frog prince? No, thank you. I prefer my men with a little less slime." With that, she turned on her heel and marched back into her walnut shell, slamming the door behind her. But the frog was persistent. He hopped around her house, croaking and calling, "Come on, little lady. You can't resist a life of luxury. Think of the froggy balls you could attend." Thumbelina was having none of it. "I'd rather attend a ball made of jelly beans than dance with a frog," she shouted, and she could hear the frog's disappointed croak echoing in the distance as he hopped away. Phew, that was close. But just as Thumbelina thought she was in the clear, her next unexpected visitor arrived. This one was even more surprising than the frog. Out of nowhere, a tiny beetle, dressed in a snazzy little tuxedo, landed right in front of her door. "Hello, fair maiden," the beetle announced, tipping his top hat dramatically. "I am Sir Beetle, and I've come to whisk you away on a grand adventure." Thumbelina blinked. "Whisk me away? To where? The nearest lettuce patch?" "No, no," Sir Beetle chuckled, his little antenna twitching with excitement. "To the grandest ball of the year. All the finest insects will be there. Fireflies, ladybugs, and even the illustrious dragonfly duke." Thumbelina was intrigued. "A ball, you say? Well, that does sound fun." She thought for a moment, then added, "But what will I wear? I can't exactly show up in my walnut shell." Sir Beetle waved his tiny arms. "Fear not. I shall find you a dress worthy of a queen." And with that, he zipped off, leaving Thumbelina wondering if she would really get to dance with all the insects of the forest. A few moments later, Sir Beetle returned, dragging behind him a shimmering gown made of spider silk, adorned with the finest dewdrops. "Ta-da!" he announced, presenting the dress like a magician, revealing his biggest trick. "Oh my goodness!" Thumbelina gasped, her eyes wide with delight. "It's beautiful!" She quickly slipped into the gown, and it fit her perfectly, as if it had been made just for her. She twirled around, feeling like the belle of the ball. "Now, let's go," Sir Beetle declared, and off they went, flying through the air like two little heroes on a quest. The forest was alive with sounds and colors, and Thumbelina felt as if she were in a dream. When they arrived at the grand gathering of insects, Thumbelina was amazed. There were lights twinkling everywhere, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of nectar. She was welcomed with open wings, and soon she found herself dancing with fireflies, who lit up the night like tiny stars. She spun and twirled, laughing as she went. But just as she was beginning to enjoy herself, she spotted the Frog Prince lurking in the corner, looking very grumpy indeed. "I see you've decided to join the insect crowd," he croaked, crossing his slimy arms. "But you'd be much happier with a real prince like me." Thumbelina rolled her eyes. "You again? I thought I told you I'm not interested in frog royalty." The frog huffed and puffed, his cheeks inflating like balloons once more. "You'll regret it," he croaked dramatically. But before Thumbelina could respond, Sir Beetle swooped in. "Let's not allow a little frog ruin our fun," he declared, and with a flick of his tiny wings, he led Thumbelina to the dance floor once more. They twirled and spun, and soon even the frog was hopping along, trying to keep up with the beat. As the night went on, Thumbelina danced until her tiny feet were sore. She laughed with her new friends, and even tried a few of the insect delicacies, which were surprisingly tasty, though she wasn't quite sure what they were made of. But who cared? She was having the time of her life. Finally, as the moon hung high and bright, casting a silvery glow over the festivities, Thumbelina realized it was time to head home. She thanked Sir Beetle for the wonderful adventure and waved goodbye to her new friends. As she flew back to her walnut shell, she couldn't help but smile, thinking about how much fun she had. But just as she settled into bed, she heard a familiar croaking outside her window. "Thumbelina, I've been waiting!" It was the frog again, and this time he looked even more determined. "You can't escape your destiny. You belong with me," Thumbelina groaned. "No, I really don't. I'm not a fan of slimy princes, thank you very much." The frog looked crestfallen, but then, with a glimmer of mischief in his eyes, he said, "Well, if you change your mind, I'll be waiting. Just remember, I'm not just any frog. I'm a prince." With that, he hopped away, leaving Thumbelina chuckling to herself. "A prince, huh? More like a prince of pestering," she laughed. And so Thumbelina settled back into her cozy walnut shell, dreaming of dancing fireflies and grand adventures, knowing that no matter how many frogs or beetles showed up at her door, she would always choose her own path. After all, life was too short to be anything but happy, and a little bit humorous. So what did we learn from our teeny tiny hero today? Even if you're small, you can do big, brave things. Always be kind, even if bugs are rude. And never marry a mole just to stay warm. If you loved Thumbelina's tiny tale, give us a giant thumbs up. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Simple Stories, Smart Kids, and stay tuned for more magical, giggly stories every day. See you next time, little dreamers. Bye-bye.